Alright guys, I don't know if you're able to see it, so all I did right now was remove the air box for the air filter. I unplugged this sensor here, coolant temperature sensor, one of the camshaft sensors, sorry. And so of course I of course had to take off the computer and set it aside. I don't like to disconnect the connectors if I don't have to. So for this job, it's the thermostat assembly, which is from that spot all the way up to right where this hose clamp is at. And they're fairly easy. I just want to make this video for the guys that have never done it or people who have never done it and want to give it a try. See, so there you go. It's all right there. Main thing is just to get some space, some room, get some access. So yeah. Now one of the things I'm gonna give a small attention to is right away this connector has like some cruddy stuff in there. See it? And even at that pin, it looks pretty bad. It's a capacitor. It helps the ignition system, I think. I can't remember the details on that one, but I just know it's a capacitor. All the Dodge, Chryslers, Jeeps, they all have it. Maybe even Fords. I was gonna try to take the air duct down to the throttle body off, but really, I can just set it aside. Maybe just, move it aside a little bit. I already have enough space pretty much to take off the hoses. I like to just give myself enough room. So right now my next step, is to take off the hoses. You can either drain the coolant from the bottom of the radiator, which I might do. I haven't made up my mind yet. Sometimes I like to just put a few pans underneath, take off these bolts and just let it drain wherever, but it does make a little bit of a mess. Nothing bad though. So I think I'm just gonna try to do the drain cock if I can. If it isn't really tight on there. Sometimes they're kind of tight, so maybe I just might loosen this one up a little bit and let it pour out a little or something. I don't really know yet. I gave it a attempt with the drain plug, and I'll be honest, man, that thing's in a very tight spot, and I didn't feel like BSing with that thing. That's why I pretty much stopped doing those, unless it's some vehicles are easier than others. For this one, I didn't want to. So what I'm gonna do is show you how I remove the hoses. Right now, I already have my tool on one hose right there. Fairly easy thing, but this is for videos for if you don't know what's going on or know what you're doing. Of course, I use this tool for hose clamps. Helps out big time in jobs like this. Just wiggle this back, release the tool. Now always twist, because all these hoses are always gonna make a seal onto whatever it is they're on, whether it's metal or plastic. So what I do, right now, since it's this really tight space, or not really tight space, but you can't really get your hand around that, I like to use a pair of these pliers. So what I do, I just get a good comfortable size where I want it, and just there you go. So pretty much just wiggle it loose. You gotta break the seal. Cool. You're probably thinking, okay, he's letting it pour out, but I already have a drain pan down there. Yeah, you're gonna make a little bit of a mess, not too big of a mess. But as long as you have 2 or 3 in spots that you know is gonna leak at, you'll be good. And I guarantee you it's a lot less BS than dealing with those damn drain plugs that just get in the way, want to give you a hard time, they're in tight spots, just all that stuff. So I think I'll get my tool around this one. So if I can't get my tool around that one, go back to my pliers. These always come in handy, this style, well, at least for me. I like to wiggle it because it helps walk it back again. Now usually when I use the pliers, this is one thing that I've caught on to, but for if you don't know. Of course, you got the big jaw, you got the little jaw. The little jaw is the direction you want to go when you're breaking it loose. For one, the way the teeth are angled, and that's the little jaw is that I've noticed is the strong side. So you don't want to put the pliers on there and then go up. No, you want to work your way to the little jaw side. So same thing again, just wiggle it loose, make sure the seal is broke. And actually I do 2 spots. One thing I've noticed, right where the hose connects, there, there's usually a fatter part that helps the hose stay on there, and that helps the clamp stay on there and for the hose not to pop off. That part also seals. So usually I go around like the neck area of where the hose is actually sitting on, and then I break the seal of where that fatter part is at. I don't know the exact name for it, but usually that's where it hangs on also. The drain pan is big enough to cover up a good portion of the area that is draining, so I'm not worried. I'm constantly checking it so that it's not spilling onto the concrete and just running wild. Okay, where am I? Okay. Ooh, okay, I'm right over there. I'm on my next hose. Get the clamp loose. They also like to stick. Wiggle it, break it loose, walk it back. Get our pliers again. And you want like a comfortable grip. You don't want your pliers like being weighed out wide. Your hand can't fit around it. So just adjust them. So you don't want to squeeze and break everything or tear up the hose. You just want to break that seal. That's it. Okay. Where's the next one? Next one is right down there. Let's see if I can get this tool in there. Yeah, I should be able to. Okay, now the hoses are disconnected, and now I just have a few bolts to remove off the thermostat assembly. bolts right in the middle. And they're only 10 millimeters, so typically I just use the long socket, 10 millimeter. Better not be hiding from me. It gives me a hard time. Now what I'm gonna do, never mind the dump truck. There's only 3 bolts holding this one on. I thought there was a 4th. There's only 3, so I left one on because I like to just break the seal, let all the coolant flow out, and then remove it. Maybe I should have just taken it off, but sometimes I don't like it when it makes a mess, though. What is getting there? There you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Damn, did I get that in there? Okay. So like I was saying, maybe I didn't see. It's 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. Some of them you might have a 4th one at the bottom, but this one didn't. And you gotta wiggle it also because there's an O-ring here, which is. Let me see if I can. Which is right down there. So that's why it doesn't easily just pop off if you're curious. Luckily the one we got comes with the new O-ring. Usually, sometimes they don't. So, just pop off the O-ring, clean up the surface. It's gone. But everything's looking good, so I'll be right back. Now we're gonna clean up. First thing I'm gonna do is take off that O-ring right down there. And sometimes I use a little screwdriver. Sometimes I use my picks because it just depends on the application, I guess. I don't know how tough they are. Like this one right away, well, the pick got it pretty good. That one was easy. Well, like I always say, with the right tool, because that little pick right there will help out big time. And now, the way I clean it, I always start off with a steel brush. I know you say don't use steel on aluminum. Then I finish it with the brass brush. I need a new one, but this one's still doing the job. And while I'm doing it, I hit it with some brake cleaner. And I always tell people it's like doing body work on a car. The better you can prep it, the better your work's gonna come out. See, just the brake cleaner, easy, it's already getting there. And all I've used so far is just one little rag. Yes, it's dirty, but I've dealt with worse, where I've wasted more towels than I had to. So right now, all I'm really doing is making the best out of, or getting the most use out of this towel. Instead of, you know, a new one after a new one after a new one. Cleaning up as much as I can. Not there. Alright. So, that's it. I like to wet my brush a little with the brake cleaner. I'll do it over here so I don't mess up anything. Get a little wet like soap. Scrub off the gritty. That's a steel brush. Now, hit it with the brass brush. Again, put a little bit of brake cleaner on the brush. So it works kind of like soap. You do the same thing. Now you're smoothing it out. You know, like I said, like body work. You're just going finer. That's all there is to it. So I got rid of my dirty rag. Now, what I like to do, get my paper towel, right? For little strips. So then I've wasted a lot of towels doing stuff like this. So I've learned if I just do strips, that's all you need. Boom, surface clean. It's a lot better than before. Nothing like it was before. Now it's hard to get a wire brush inside that little groove for that O-ring seal. I think that's more challenging, but what I'm gonna do is just try with this little screwdriver. At least to get the majority off. Now the one thing getting to my nerves is the coolant keeps leaking out. There's ways. Sometimes I put a jack on the side that it's coming out, so it lifts it and makes it go the other way. But we'll see. Sometimes I just shove this sucker in here. Give it a couple minutes, hopefully it gets the majority soaked up. But other than that, you're ready for installation. Now, I'm going to show you a little extra that I do. And because it's a new O-ring seal, you could do it, you could not. They're supposed to seal, but still an added protection. Okay. Okay, we got our new O-ring, right? First, of course, put it on. Where's the new part? So, of course, the new part, comes with the new thermostat. And this, I guess, the coolant outlet. Both already have seals. I don't worry about those too much, although you could do what I'm about to show you, but I prefer to do it to where the O-ring goes to. Because for some reason, well, the O-ring is going to be tight. That's going to be a given. Sometimes you could put a little bit of lube, but it all depends on what lube you're using. Me, I like to put a little bit of silicone on it. And you're probably wondering, well, why? It's got an O-ring, right? Yes, but you don't want a leak happening. You don't want to do all this work and like a month later, that O-ring doesn't work too well. Or you rolled it, or you pinched it or something. Or just found a way out. All because of that. So I just put a little bit of, where am I at? A little bit of silicone. Right now I'm using ultra gray. We could use ultra black. I prefer, on this simple application, ultra gray. Spread it on like icing on a cake. I like to be as neat as I can with it. Damn, coolant's still coming out a little bit. It's not that I can't handle it. I've had a lot worse. But there you go. I don't know if you can tell, but I got a good coat around the O-ring. Where am I at? You really don't want to make a big mess or anything. And there's areas you can't see, but you just gotta use your brain on this. Okay. And sometimes, well, depending on the application, I might put some on that one and on that one. But for this one, I'm not. Although my better judgment tells me that I should. But I know this motor, it doesn't overheat. I've seen other motors less taken care of, and those are the ones that are gonna give you troubles. But this one, no. So, there we go. Pop that sucker on. See that O-ring, or that silicone on the O-ring. Also helps it, like lube, slide right in. That one started at least. Got the bolts started by hand, all three of them. No, it didn't go all the way down. Well, I didn't tighten it all the way. Only enough to where it's almost there. Only because we're going to need a little bit of wiggle room. And now that I've got all three of them worked down, now I'm gonna evenly sit it. Back together. I was trying to explain, but had a little interruptions. Like I said, there's only three bolts. Don't tighten them down all the way, each one. You want to jump around until you're getting closer. You'll feel it work its way in. And right when you know each bolt is seated all the way down, you want to give a little extra, not too much, because that plastic will break. And the rest is the way you took it off.